In a moment of crisis, when the body gives way, your mind can be your only rescue. This is not about medical techniques. This is about a strength you already possess, waiting to be awakened. Do not click away. The understanding you will gain at the end of this journey is the most important part of this practice. Facing fear. When we speak of such a moment of profound physical crisis, the conversation often turns to action. What do we do? What steps must be taken? This is the logical mind trying to place a structure on chaos, trying to build a plan for a future that has suddenly become uncertain. And while these outer actions have their place, today I want to invite you to a different place, a deeper place. We must talk about the very first thing that arrives in that moment before any action can be taken. We must talk about fear. It arrives like a lightning strike, a primal, overwhelming force that can seize the mind and paralyze it completely. This fear is not your enemy. It is a messenger. It is an ancient alarm system designed for a world of predators in the wild, now activated inside the quiet of your own home, within the temple of your own body. And if you do not understand its nature, it will become the true crisis. The physical event is one thing, but the inner storm of panic is another. This inner storm clouds your judgment, accelerates the chaos, and cuts you off from your own inner wisdom. The true challenge then, in those first few seconds, is not to fight the body. It is to find your footing in the middle of this hurricane of fear. So how do we face it? We do not face it by puffing up our chests and pretending it is not there. We do not face it by suppressing it. That only gives it more power. We face it by seeing it for what it is, an energy, a sensation. We must cultivate the ability to observe it without being swept away by it. Imagine standing on the shore, watching a giant wave approach. If you turn and run, it may catch you. If you try to stand rigid against it, it may break you. But if you can learn to dive into it, to understand its movement and use its energy, you can pass through it. This is the first skill, to acknowledge the fear, to name it, to feel its power without letting it become your master. The mind will want to tell you a story. It will create a narrative of the end, of everything you will lose, of the pain and the finality of it all. This story is the fuel for the panic. The practice, the deep practice, is to see that story as just that, a story. It is not the reality of the present moment. In the present moment, there is only sensation. There is breath, there is awareness. By separating the raw sensation of fear from the narrative that the mind attaches to it, you create a space. A small space, perhaps only a fraction of a second, but in that space lies the possibility of clarity. This is the beginning of self-mastery. This is not something you can decide to do only when the crisis arrives. This is a cultivation. Every day, you experience small fears. The fear of being late, the fear of bad news, the fear of a difficult conversation. Each of these moments is a training ground, a chance to practice observing your fear without being consumed by it. When you learn to bring awareness to the small storms, you build the inner structure required to withstand the hurricane. It is the daily, patient work of tending to your inner garden that prepares you for the harshest of winters. You learn to recognize the feeling, the tightness in the chest, the shallow breath, and you learn to meet it with stillness, not resistance, just a calm, unwavering presence. Inner anchor, in the midst of that storm, in that moment of complete physical and emotional chaos, you need an anchor. You need one point of stability when everything else is shaking. This anchor is not something you need to go out and find. It is not a complex technique you must memorize. It has been with you every moment of every day of your entire life. It is your breath. The breath is the bridge between the mind and the body. It is the rhythm of life itself, moving in and out, a constant, faithful companion. In the chaos of a life or death event, the mind will race to the future, to the what-ifs, while the body is trapped in a painful, overwhelming present. The breath is what can bring them both back to the same place, to the only place where true power resides, the here and now. So the practice, the 10-second action, is not a physical intervention. It is a turning of the attention inward. As the wave of panic and pain washes over you, the single most powerful thing you can do is to find your breath, Do not try to change it. Do not try to force it to be deep or slow. That is a form of fighting, of resistance, and resistance only creates more tension. Your only job is to notice it. Where do you feel it most? In the nostrils as the air enters and leaves? In the rise and fall of your chest? In your belly? Simply place your awareness there. This one act of focused attention is profoundly powerful. It is an act of reclamation. Why does this work? Because the mind, in its panicked state, cannot easily hold two things at once. It cannot be lost in a catastrophic story about the future while also being fully present with the physical sensation of the breath in the present moment. By choosing to focus on the breath, you are gently guiding the mind away from the fire of its own fearful thoughts. You are taking the helm of the ship. You are not trying to stop the storm, but you are steering into the waves. You are bringing a single point of order to the absolute disorder. This does not mean the fear vanishes. It does not mean the physical sensations disappear. But it means they no longer have complete control of your consciousness. You have created a sanctuary of awareness. This is your lifeline. The awareness of your breath is the unbreakable thread that connects you to the present. The 10 seconds in the title is not a literal countdown to a solution. It represents that small window of opportunity where you can choose. You can choose to be lost in the chaos, or you can choose to find this inner anchor. The beauty of it is in its simplicity. It requires no equipment. It requires no special knowledge. It only requires the willingness to turn your attention to the most fundamental process of your existence. This simple act is the culmination of all spiritual practice. To be present with what is, right now, even if what is intensely difficult. This ability must be cultivated. You cannot expect to find a deep well of water in the desert if you have never dug for it before. Every day offers a chance to practice. When you are waiting in a line, feeling impatient, find your breath. When you receive an email that makes you anxious, find your breath. Before you go to sleep at night, and when you first wake up, find your in-breath and your out-breath. Each time you do this, you are strengthening the muscle of your awareness. You are deepening the well, so that when the moment of greatest thirst arrives, when the great crisis is upon you, without thinking exactly where to find your water, you will return to your anchor, not out of intellectual memory, but out of deep cellular habit. Body's wisdom. Our modern mind often sees the body as a vehicle, a machine that is supposed to function perfectly until one day it breaks down. We feel betrayed by it when it ages, when it becomes ill, when it does not perform as we wish. During a catastrophic health event, this sense of betrayal can be immense. It feels as though your own body has become your enemy, attacking you from within. But I would like to invite you to consider a different perspective, a more ancient one. What if the body is not a machine, but a vessel of wisdom? What if its signals, even the most painful and frightening ones, are not a betrayal, but a form of communication, a language that we must learn to understand? When a crisis such as this occurs, the body is speaking its truth in the only way it knows how. It is signaling a profound imbalance, a limit that has been reached. It is not an act of malice. It is an act of raw, unfiltered honesty. To perceive this as an attack is to create a state of internal war. You are fighting yourself, and a house divided against itself cannot stand. The alternative, and this requires great courage, is to listen, to change the relationship from one of adversarial conflict to one of compassionate listening. This does not mean you desire the pain or welcome the danger. It means you cease to add a second layer of suffering, the suffering of mental and emotional resistance, on top of the physical reality. This shift in mindset is a form of deep acceptance. It is looking at the situation with clear eyes and saying, this is what is happening now. This acceptance is not passive resignation. It is not giving up. It is the firmest ground upon which you can stand to make any clear decision. From a place of acceptance, the mind is no longer spending all its energy fighting reality. Instead, that energy is liberated. It can be used for clarity, for following the anchor of the breath, for taking whatever practical external steps might be possible. You stop battling the symptoms, and instead, you hold the experience within a vast, compassionate awareness. Imagine your body is a small child crying out in pain and fear. Would you yell at the child? Would you tell it to be quiet and stop bothering you? Or would you hold it? Would you offer it comfort and listen to what it is trying to tell you? In this moment of crisis, your own body is that child. The practice is to develop the inner parent, the compassionate witness who can hold this experience without judgment. You are both the frightened child and the loving parent. This is the integration of the self. This is true strength. It is the ability to meet your own suffering with love. This compassionate listening is also a lifelong practice. It begins by paying attention to the small whispers of the body, so you are better prepared for its shouts. How do you feel after you eat a certain food? How does your body feel when you are sitting for a long time? What is the feeling of stress in your shoulders? By cultivating this gentle, non-judgmental awareness in your daily life, you are learning the language of your body. You are building a relationship of trust and respect, so when the ultimate message arrives, you are not meeting a stranger. You are hearing the final, powerful words of a lifelong companion, and you can listen with an open heart. Releasing control. There is a fundamental paradox in human existence. We spend our entire lives attempting to build security, to create stability, to establish control over our world. We build homes, we save money, we make plans. We try to control our health, our relationships, our futures. And yet, the one undeniable truth of life is its impermanence. Everything changes. Everything is outside of our ultimate control. A moment of sudden severe illness is perhaps the most powerful and terrifying reminder of this truth. It is the ultimate loss of control. The very vessel of your life, your body, is no longer following your commands. It has its own trajectory. The instinct, the deeply ingrained human instinct, is to grasp, to tighten our grip, to fight against this loss of control with every fiber of our being. We resist the reality of what is happening, and in this resistance, we create immense suffering. The struggle itself becomes a source of deep anguish, compounding the physical pain. It is like being caught in quicksand. The more you struggle, the faster you sink. The mind thrashes, trying to find a way out, trying to rewind time, trying to deny the undeniable. This is the very definition of suffering, according to many ancient traditions. The gap between what we want and what is. So what is the alternative? The alternative is the scariest and most courageous act a human being can perform: to release, to let go of the need to be in control. This is not fatalism. This is not weakness. It is the highest form of wisdom. It is the recognition of reality. When you are in the middle of the ocean, you cannot control the waves. Your only choice is to learn how to float. Releasing your mental grip on the situation allows you to float. It allows you to conserve your inner energy instead of wasting it on a futile battle against reality itself. This release begins with the mind. You notice the thoughts that are grasping. This shouldn't be happening. I am not ready. I must stop this. You see them arise and you let them go, like releasing a bird from your hand. You do not follow them. You do not believe them. You just watch them fly away. And you return to your anchor. You return to the breath. Each time a grasping thought comes, you see it and you release it again and again. This is the practice in its most active form. It is the unclenching of the fist of the mind. This act of surrender, of releasing control, has a profound effect on the body. The mind and body are not separate. A mind that is frantically fighting creates tension, stress, and resistance in the body, which can exacerbate the physical condition. A mind that is able to release, to find a place of quiet surrender, allows the body to do what it needs to do without the added burden of internal conflict. It creates the conditions for any possible healing, and more importantly, it creates the conditions for inner peace, regardless of the physical outcome. It is a terrifying freedom, this letting go, but it is also the only true freedom there is. It is a strength that is soft, yielding, and more powerful than any rigid resistance, and it is available to you in any moment simply by choosing to open your hand. Lifelong practice. The title of this discussion is framed around 10 seconds. It is a very human desire to look for the quick solution, the instant technique that can save us in a moment of crisis. And while the turning of attention to the anchor of the breath is an action that can take place within a few seconds, the ability to do so under extreme pressure is not born in that moment. It is the result of a lifetime. The 10 seconds of clarity during the storm are a direct consequence of the daily, patient, and often unspectacular practice that came before. You do not build a great fortress on the day of the battle. You build it stone by stone, day by day, when the land is at peace. Every day of your life presents you with opportunities to lay another stone in that fortress. Every moment of irritation, every flash of anger, every wave of anxiety, every period of boredom, these are not interruptions to your life. These are your training grounds. These are the small sparring partners that prepare you for the great champion. When someone cuts you off in traffic and you feel that hot surge of anger, can you find your breath? That is the practice. When you receive news that disappoints you and you feel the sinking in your stomach, can you stay present with that feeling without being carried away by the story of despair? That is the practice. For those of you in your senior years, you have a vast landscape of experience. You have known joy and you have known loss. You have known strength and you have known fragility. Your life has already been the training. The invitation now is to bring a new quality of awareness to this training. It is to look back not just at the events, but at your inner reaction to them. And it is to look forward to each coming day, not as a series of events to be survived, but as a series of opportunities to cultivate this inner stillness, this self-mastery. The practice can be beautifully simple. It can be the choice to drink your morning tea in silence, fully present with the warmth of the cup and the taste of the tea. That simple act of presence, done daily, builds a neural pathway. It builds a habit of mind. It teaches your entire being how to come home to the present moment. So when the great disorientation arrives, the path home is already well worn. You will not have to search for it with a map in the middle of the hurricane. Your feet will know the way. The survival technique is not the thing you do in the final 10 seconds. The survival technique is the person you have become through years of conscious and compassionate practice. It is the inner structure you have built. Do not be discouraged if you feel you are starting late. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. And in this inner work, every single step matters. Every moment you choose presence over distraction, you are building your inner home. Every time you choose acceptance over resistance, you are strengthening its walls. This is the deepest work we can do as human beings. It is not about preparing for an ending. It is about learning how to live fully, with an open heart and a clear mind, in every moment that we are given, including, and especially, the most difficult ones. The strength is not in the outcome. The strength is in the practice. True strength. In our society, we are often taught that strength is about fighting. It is about overcoming obstacles, defeating enemies, and imposing our will upon the world. It is a vision of strength as an outward force, a hardness, a resistance. But when you face the most profound challenges of life, the challenges of deep loss, of aging, of mortality itself, this kind of strength reveals its limits. You cannot fight time, you cannot defeat impermanence. A strength that is defined only by its ability to win against an external foe is destined to fail in the end. And so, we must look for a different kind of strength, a truer strength. This true strength is not about fighting, it is about yielding. It is not about hardness, it is about softness. It is not about imposing your will, it is about aligning yourself with a reality that is far greater than your own desires. Think of a great oak tree in a hurricane. It is strong, rigid, powerful. And in a powerful enough storm, it can be snapped in two. Now think of the bamboo. It is slender, soft, and flexible. In the same storm, it bends, it yields to the force of the wind, sometimes bending all the way to the ground. But when the storm passes, it straightens up again, unharmed. Its strength is in its ability to bend without breaking. This is the nature of true inner strength. It is the strength to be present with what is, no matter how uncomfortable. It is the strength to feel fear without being controlled by fear. It is the strength to feel pain without being broken by pain. It is the strength to face the ultimate loss of control with a quiet heart and a clear mind. This is a strength that cannot be taken from you. It does not depend on the health of your body or the circumstances of your life. It resides in a place deep within your own consciousness, a place of silent awareness that is untouched by the turmoil of the world. It is the strength of the mountain, which remains still whether it is bathed in sunlight or battered by thunderstorms. Cultivating this strength is the highest purpose of a human life. It is to transform ourselves from a being that is constantly reacting to the world to a being that can act from a center of deep stillness. This is not about becoming unfeeling. On the contrary, it is about learning to feel everything more deeply, but without being a slave to those feelings. It is about developing a heart that is so open and so vast that it can hold all of the joy and all of the sorrow of life without being shattered by it. This is the courage we all seek, the courage to be fully human. The ultimate victory is not cheating the inevitable. It is not about surviving one more day through a clever trick. The ultimate victory is in how we meet the inevitable. Do we meet it with frantic fear, with bitter resistance, with a mind lost in chaos? Or do we meet it with the dignity, the grace, and the quiet clarity that we have so patiently cultivated over a lifetime? The real practice is not about surviving a heart attack. The real practice is about transforming your entire relationship with life and death. It is about discovering a peace that is not dependent on circumstances, a strength that is found in surrender, and a light that shines brightest in the deepest dark. This is not a choice made in the last moments. It is a path walked every day. It is the quiet dignity of choosing awareness over distraction, compassion over judgment, and acceptance over resistance. It is the slow, patient, and beautiful work of building a spirit that is as flexible as bamboo and as steadfast as the mountain. It is the ultimate act of love for yourself and for the life you have been given.